welcome to part 4 of our 5-part series, London, England to Reykjavik, Iceland, aboard the Silversea Silver Moon. This part of our journey takes us to the island of Heimaey and our final port of call, Reykjavik. Heimaey is the largest island and only populated island in the Westman Island chain. The archipelago consists of 15 islands and 30 rock stacks and skerries. For today's excursion, we boarded a smaller vessel and did a circumnavigation of Heimaey Island. Fishing is still the largest industry in Heimaey, and the waters around the Westman Islands are rich in cod and halibut. About 30 bird species make their home in the Westman Islands, with the puffin being the most abundant. Heimaey is said to have a population of 4,000 humans and about 8 million puffins during the summer. Heimaey, located 4.6 miles off the southern coast of Iceland, is only 5.2 square miles big. A good chunk of the island is taken up by the Vestmannaeyjar Airport and the Westman Islands Golf Club. Heimaey is home to an active volcano, the Eldfell. The Eldfell erupted in 1973 and destroyed half of the city and threatened the main source of income for the island, the harbor. The lava flows were halted by pumping about 6.5 billion gallons of cold seawater onto the lava flow, and half of the small settlement was saved along with the harbor. Although no one died as a result of the eruption, approximately 400 homes and businesses were destroyed. As the familiar sight of our ship came back around, we knew that our circumnavigation of Heimaey Island was about to end. But before we docked, we got another good look at some of the, in this case, herring gulls that make Heimaey Island their home. These colonies of herring gulls line the cliff faces around the island, utilizing every little pothole in the face of the cliffs as their nesting sites. As we once more entered the harbor, passing fish farms, our captain had one more treat for us and surprised us by entering what we thought was the rather close quarters of this cave. For some inexplicable reason, Abba's dancing queen was blaring from speakers somewhere on the ship. I have to admit, that was an interesting choice. Back in Vestmannaeyjar, we walked around the harbor area before reboarding the tender and returning to the Silver Moon. When we returned, I headed up to Deck 12 to get some more footage of the little islands near the main island of Heimaey. Although the smaller islands are not populated, 6 of them have a single hunting cabin perched on top. Our final dinner on board the Silver Moon was with friends old and new at Atlantide. The food was good and the mood was festive as we said farewell to the Silver Moon. But the evening wasn't over yet, as we had one more chance to stalk Alan.
Well, I've heard there was a secret chord David played, please the Lord. You don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this.
The next morning found us docked early in Reykjavik, Iceland. Although not Silversea's fault, Icelandic customs insisted on a face-to-face inspection with everyone on board. From there, we reclaimed our luggage and hopped on our final excursion that was to take us to some of the highlights of the Golden Circle, starting with Tindrifjör National Park. One of the most interesting things about Iceland is that it actually straddles 2 continental plates, the North American continental plate and the European continental plate. And part of that actually runs through the park. You can walk between those 2 tectonic plates in places. And actually swim or snorkel between the plates. Now, admittedly, this is stock footage, as even with a wetsuit, you would have a hard time getting my Texas acclimated body into this cold water. Now, if you happen to notice that my camera work is a bit unsteady while in Iceland, this is one of the main reasons. The wind was basically strong and constant. Continuing on, we were to make a stop at the Viking Parliament, which had to be canceled because of this. Another tour bus had somehow caught on fire and was fully engulfed by the time we arrived. You can just barely see 2 of the passengers pulling their luggage that was saved, and we later found out there was no loss of life or injury, and all the passengers and their luggage survived the ordeal. Since it was a 2-lane road and there was traffic behind us, we couldn't move, and we sat there for 45 minutes or an hour until we were able to turn around. Our next stop was Gullfoss, or the Golden Waterfall. But before we go out and visit the waterfall, we had lunch in the Gullfoss restaurant. Lunch supplied by the tour would be a lamb soup and choice of beverage. It was actually very good and hearty, accompanied with a Viking beer. So now, warmed by the soup and ready to go, we went outside to visit Gullfoss. The wind made it almost impossible to keep my camera steady even with the stabilizer. Following our visit to the waterfall, we went back inside the restaurant/shop to see what they had in store. What they had were these neat t-shirts, not these potty mouth ones, but this one, which when run through Google Translate means a glacier on an island. So deciding against a t-shirt, we just purchased some Icelandic chocolate. Next, we were off to Geyser. The main geyser in the park has not erupted since 1992. This makes the Silkur geyser the main geyser of the park. This geyser has been fairly regular, erupting every 4 to 8 minutes. There is plenty of other thermal activity in the park, including Little Geyser, which does not spout, but instead just continually boils like a pot of boiling water. During our tour, we passed many lava fields, which if not for the clouds in the sky, would have resembled the surface of the moon. In the agricultural areas, we saw what resembled large marshmallows in the field. And in fact, we were told they are troll treats, left out for the trolls so they wouldn't eat the children. Does that work? Well, sometimes. Our hotel for our one additional night in Iceland was the Hotel Berg in Keflavik, Iceland. Silversea put us in this hotel about 40 miles from Reykjavik because it is only about 10 minutes from the Keflavik International Airport. The next morning came and we were on our way to the airport with 8 of us piled into 2 small taxis because of an apparent miscommunication. But regardless, we arrived at the Keflavik International Airport safe and sound with plenty of time to get inside and board our flight. Well, that's part 4 of our London, England to Reykjavik, Iceland aboard the Silversea Silver Moon. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Next up is part 5 of our trip, which will be all about the Silver Moon, including a ship tour and restaurant and dining guide. Also featured in part 5 will be a bit of commentary, including the pros and cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly of this particular trip. Please check out some of our other content, and as always, we wish you safe and happy travels.